Hello, Howie.
Hi, Raphi. Nice to see you, although you've disappeared off my screen, and I'm hoping Dylan will take away the screen sharing and we can have a proper chat. But a good welcome to everyone who's watching us around the world this evening. As always, we'd love to know where you're from. And Dylan, come take off our screen so we can have a proper chat. There we go. Rafi, tell us what you're going to be showing us this evening.
Howie, I'm going to show you a bit of my AI lawyer, what we've been building in that area, fully curated legal content. So I think that will be interesting. And then I'm going to show you something we've done with Perplexity. So maybe just one of the tools that maybe isn't as well known as Chat or Grok or one of the LLMs. And so what I do with Perplexity, maybe I can show you something like that.
So just remember when we're doing this tonight, our audience is going to be your mother.
Now you
So,
scared me.
so there's no such things as LLM. You're going to have to explain what a large language model is.
Perfect.
And you're going to have to be simple and basic, and everyone should be able to understand exactly what you're talking about tonight.
I think Howie, the definition of a LLM is my mother.
So for those people watching, and we're going to shortly do that, and a big welcome to Arthur. Just for those people, we're only beginning in about 10 minutes time, and everyone's joining us now. What is a LLM other than a master's in law?
I think with lots of people who can answer maybe.
No, we
So
did
okay,
that.
for me, let's just say it's a large language model, and let's simply say that it has the ability to know which word to choose after a specific set of words. We can kind of make it much more complex, but that's really what it is.
Cool. So Benji Rosman, let's get you off mute, and Arthur Goldstuck, let's get you off mute as well. And
Hey,
Arthur,
Howie.
look what I have over here.
Ooh, nice. Did you steal that from your father?
I did steal that from my father who read the book. I must say he hasn't yet programmed anything, but I feel he's far better equipped than me to be able to do that.
Did you see how good the forward is?
Did you write the forward, Benji?
Why do you think the book sold so well?
I hear a lot of people only read the forward.
How's it, guys?
Hello, Mark. How's it? Welcome and welcome to the hundreds of people who are already watching us on Zoom and even more on YouTube and on Facebook this evening. But Mark, are you sitting in the middle of Tromsø in Norway? I see the northern lights
It
busy
it
flickering
seems
behind
like
you.
it. I've just installed a Mac for the first time in my life, and I've realized you can do some very cool things. So I think I went with the Northern Lights for this evening.
I can tell you that I'm running a Mac over here, and I run Windows on my Mac, and people judge me terribly.
Yeah, it's a little bit backwards that, but I'm trying to adapt. At 40 years old, I'm trying to move with the times.
I moved from a Mac to Windows 2 years ago and I haven't looked back.
Yeah, listen, I don't know how much longer I'm going to last. I spent about half an hour trying to work out how to scroll down earlier, and I've spent
Yeah,
my
it's those
entire
keys,
life on
Mark. They'll kill
computers.
you. The keys are all inverted.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, Benji, tell everyone, Wits artificial intelligence. If I wanted to go back to university, what could I go study under your guidance and leadership?
Oh yeah, well, I mean that would be the place to go. So, and I'm not biased on this at all. Running things out of computer science, we've got this massive array of AI offerings, but we've now got an institute that I'm the director of, the Mind Institute, which is kind of a radically interdisciplinary AI institute that runs across the whole university.
Fantastic. So I'm going to ask everyone to turn off their cameras and to mute themselves. We'll see you in 11 minutes time. And what we're going to do for the next 11 minutes is we're going to give those people who've come in a little early some sort of inkling of what has been done with artificial intelligence in the world of creativity. So we're going to be showing you some amazing videos that people have used artificial intelligence, and we'll see you at 8 o'clock.
Going wild. Khamenei grabs the collar, pushing Netanyahu into the cage wall. But wait, Netanyahu spins out, elbows flying. It's chaos in the
Hi, Camilla. Let me turn on speech translation. It's nice to finally talk to you.
Es bueno hablarte finalmente. No puedo esperar a alquilar tu casa.
Te vas a divertir mucho y creo que te va a encantar.
You're going to have a lot of fun, and I think you're going to love visiting the city. The house is in a very nice neighborhood and overlooks the mountains.
That sounds wonderful. Is the house
Eso
close
suena
to public
maravilloso.
transportation,
¿Es la
or
casa
would you
cercana al
recommend
transporte
renting a
público o recomiendas alquilar un coche?
Hay un autobús cerca, pero
There's a
yo
bus
te
nearby,
recomendaría alquilar un
but I
auto.
would recommend renting a car so you can visit the nature and enjoy it.
That sounds great.
Eso suena genial.
We just failed on this once. Follow for more, and let us know if we should keep the fails in.
Angela Carter here, live from the Cedar Grove flood disaster. Just kidding, I'm not real. This is Dana Brooks reporting live from Ocean View Beach. Just kidding, I'm not real. This is Charlotte Reed reporting live from Clearwater Beach, where an unidentified... Just kidding, I'm not real.
Fam, your boy David here, about to yeet this little stone at Goliath and see what happens. Okay, so I told y'all to trust the process, but no, y'all wanted to stay in Egypt stacking bricks. Yo, it's Shadrach. This random dude just showed up. It's getting lit in here.
I got the horses in the back. Horse tack is attached. Hat is matte black. Got the boots that's black to match.
Day 2 in the tomb. No Wi-Fi, no snacks. Just kind of waiting for God to respawn me.
You know I'm a daddy's boy. He's got me in this Technicolor drip. Brother's so jelly right now. They're looking a little sus.
I'm supposed to say that God got me pregnant? Yeah, there's no way my parents are buying this story.
I would like to formally apologize to God, the sailors, And this whale. Sorry, dude. I just took a poop over there. Hello, guys. We just mined this. An extremely large white diamond. Never seen something like this before.
Hello, guys. Babur here. Just won Delhi and captured this extremely large diamond. Guys, I just defeated the Mughals and looted Delhi. Got this. Kohinoor.
We just looted Kohinoor. In the name of a treaty, of course. Now we're smuggling it to Britain to display in Chor Bazaar.
Come back up here.
Cut. Thank you. Move on to the next take. All right, people, we need 47 takes of the same scene today.
Or we could just let AI do it in 3 minutes.
But what about me? Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? What happens to all of us?
When budgets drop from 50 million to 50,000 per film? Amazing for us. But wait,
What
about our job? Who's going to negotiate our contracts? I mean, if they can scan my face, they can just scan my makeup too. Exactly, but who's going to tell the stories then?
Who's going to write the scripts? AI can already do plots, dialogue, character arcs, the whole damn thing. But can it write this? Can it write real emotion?
It can simulate emotions pretty well, actually.
Can it understand timing, rhythm, that feeling when you cut at exactly the right moment?
But it can edit 100 times faster than us.
Sure, but what's the point of speed if we lose the soul?
Lose the art? This sunset, can AI really understand why it's beautiful? Can it feel how But it can simulate it perfectly.
Yeah, but why do we do this? Why do we
Make movies? To entertain? To make money? Or because
we have something to say?
Exactly. But if AI can say the same thing, faster and cheaper...
Then what's the point?
Maybe the point isn't efficiency.
Or profit, but humanity. And why do we tell stories?
I guess that's what we need to figure out.
So the time has just gone 8 p.m. and a big welcome to everyone in South Africa and around the world. I think we've got one cracker of a webinar tonight. This is our 184th webinar that we've run from the SA Jewish Report, and just a big welcome to everyone who joins us this evening, including some of the country's top experts on artificial intelligence. So a very quick spin around so we can introduce everyone to you, and then we'll give you our 1-minute message from the Jewish Report, and we'll dive directly in. So Professor Benji Rosman, let's start with you. Tell us who you are.
Hi, Howie. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Yes, I'm a professor at Wits University in computer science, where I work in all sorts of things, AI and robotics. I run the Robotics, Artificial Intelligence and Learning Lab. I run Wits's AI Institute, which is the Mind Institute. And I've started a number of kind of Pan-African AI initiatives. I've been a co-founder of the Deep Learning Indaba, of Lalapa AI, and I'm also a fellow of the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research.
That sounds enormously impressive, but Arthur, I'm sure you can outdo that. So not only are you the author of this book, which is about to bring out its 2nd edition, and the color changes, I understand, to blue. Tell us a little about yourself. Give us the one-liner.
The one-liner in the AI context is that I've been researching and writing about AI for about 10 years now, but always had a fascination since I was a kid reading science fiction. So AI becoming mainstream is like a dream come true for me, and certainly a childhood dream come true. I run a company called Worldwide Works, which is a boutique market research agency looking at technology uptake across the African continent. I publish an online magazine called Gadget at gadget.co.za. Go there now, read it. And I'm also a professional public speaker, and I was president of the Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa last year. And that means I get away with talking a lot.
Fantastic. And Dale Imerman, I trust you join us from Barrydale, is my guest. Tell us a little who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm Dale Imerman. Weirdly, my first job out of school was being the webmaster of Arthur Goldstuck's Gadget online magazine. But more recently...
Who would be stupid enough to employ you, Dale?
Well, I can name 3 people.
Including me.
Including you. So I am the Global Vice President of Immersive Technology and AI for a business called WPP. We're an advertising holding company. Some listeners may know some of our brands like Ogilvy and Mather, Hogarth, WPP Media, Gray, AKQA. My role is to work very closely with AI technology partners, co-create solutions for customers, really in the world of communication and advertising and marketing. I'm a technology evangelist. I have also been waiting for this AI moment since as long as I can remember. I'm a faculty at a few different universities, and I sit on the board of NYU's Metaverse Council.
Marc du Plessis, let us unmute you. Can you match any of these guys? Because you actually get your hands dirty.
Yeah, I definitely can't follow after those ones. From my side, I've been in technology my entire life, even before it was actually a job. In fact, I remember spending school breaks literally playing computer games with Benji while everyone else was out socializing. we were sitting playing computer games during our break. I've spent my entire career pretty much in IT, mainly in product management and product development. Kind of started within the networking space, and this has now kind of evolved into what is now AI. So, a strong background with product development. And yeah, now we one of the co-founders of a company called dsrupt.ai, with a couple of guys who I think have been on these webinars before, the likes of Dr. Adam Pantanovitz. And we essentially are building and continue to build a platform where essentially we integrate different AI technologies and allow a user, instead of to have multiple subscriptions and multiple different apps and subs and credits and all of that, we kind of just bundle it all together and we try and make it as user-friendly as possible.
Fantastic. Well, welcome, Marc. And Raphi Segal, you're another one who gets their hands dirty every single day with maybe a little bit of coding. Tell us what you do.
Thanks for having me on, and evening, everyone. My name is Raphi Segal. I run a business called Legal Interact. We focus on legal tech, and over the past few years, we've moved from RNNs and CNNs. I know I shouldn't say that, but from RNNs and CNNs into mainstream AI. And we've got two products: Contract Corridor, which is a contract lifecycle management solution, and My AI Lawyer, which is a digital lawyer service, digital when you want it and human when you need it. So yeah, talk about that.
So we've told everyone watching us tonight on Zoom, on YouTube, and on Facebook who we are. We'd like to know who you are. So please take a moment in the chat on Zoom or in the comment section on Facebook or YouTube. Please tell us who you are and where you're watching from as well. And guys, there's only one rule for tonight. The rule is about my mother. We have to explain AI in a way that my mother and everyone's mothers will absolutely understand. So there's no jargon, there's no complexity. This is going to be very, very practical. This is going to be lots of demonstrations. This is going to be lots of hands-on. And we want to introduce people and get people to start playing with as much artificial intelligence as possible. So before we dive in, a big welcome and a thank you to Dylan Berger, who's on controls this evening. Dylan, it's fantastic to have you back. And just a reminder that these webinars are brought to you by the South African Jewish Report newspaper. You can get us either in hard copy or you can pick us up digitally online as well. And Dylan, I think you should be sharing your screen. And there it is. It's the front page of this week's edition. Came out yesterday evening, and you can pick up a copy of the Jewish Report newspaper at your local Dis-Chem or your Pick and Pay or your Checkers or your Woolworths or your butchery. We distribute throughout the country. Not only are we in hard copy, and we read by about 30,000 people in hard copy every week, but we also publish digitally. So you can go onto our website, www.sajr.co.za. And if you do go onto our website, not only can you download the entire edition if you want to do that, but you can also look at each individual article as it is. So be one of the approximately 156,000 people who go onto our webinar, go onto our website each week. And don't forget, on our website as well, you can click on the button to see all of our webinars. And before you ask the questions, are we recording tonight? Of course we're recording tonight. And you can access the recording either on the Jewish Report website, www.sajr.co.za. Alternatively, you can go onto YouTube and look for the SA Jewish Report channel. And almost all of our 184 webinars that we've done, the JRLive webinars, are available for you to watch there. So Dylan, thank you for being with us this evening. Thanks for setting it up. Don't forget, you can download either the full edition in A4 or in broadsheet format. It's all available for you on our website. So with that, to all our esteemed panelists this evening, Benji Rosman, I'm going to start with you. You're a professor at Wits. AI is your thing. What on earth is it?
Oh, that's the great question. I mean, I think if you ask a lot of people what it is, then it's something out of sci-fi movies, which, Arthur will be very familiar with. And then, if you think about practically what this means to a lot of people, I think there's this idea that which really came from what we spoke about as AI in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, as these sets of kind of logical facts that someone had to put into a big database and kind of ask it questions, and it could try and work things out from the facts that it had, like, if A is the brother of B and C is the brother of A, then how are A and C related? B and C related, that kind of thing. Which is very much this idea of like AI as some sort of cold computing thing. But what it really is it represents kind of a quest of humanity, of science, since about the 50s to try and understand and replicate what we understand as intelligence. Like the most complex object we know of in the universe is the squishy blob of jelly between our ears. And, for kind of since the dawn of humanity, we've been wondering about this. What makes us tick? Like what makes us work? What makes us able to write poetry and create artworks and have webinars? And so this is really kind of the question taken to the next level of like, what do we need to do to make this work in machines? Like, can we distill this kind of essence of what it is to be intelligent? So modern AI is very much, and like when I say modern AI, I mean really what we're seeing at the moment, what we're all excited about, is based on kind of some insights from neuroscience, like into how our brains actually work from about the 40s and kind of going forward since then, which is really that like whenever we interact, like our brains are just this huge collection of billions of neurons, these brain cells that are sending electrical signals to each other all the time. And AI is a way, the way we think about it now is a way that we've managed to distill that down mathematically, kind of instantiate it on a computer and get it to behave in some sort of similar kind of way, which means that it's able to learn, it's able to generate things, it's able to almost have a bit of a personality, the way that we think of things with brains as doing. We can get more into the details of how that works, but I think that's a good starting point.
So Benji, just explain to us, does AI actually understand? If I gave it Arthur's book to read, would it genuinely understand the concepts within Arthur's book? Would it be able to ask Arthur questions about it? Is it intelligent enough to genuinely work out who you are and be able to replace you?
Okay, so skipping over a few details here. The kind of magic of all the AI that we talk about now, the ChatGPTs and the Groks and all of that, is through something called LLMs or large language models, which are, we skip the details, but they're these big kind of brain-like things, these networks of artificial neurons, and really their job is to predict the next word. So they see some text you've written and they've got to start generating some text in response to you, and each time they're generating one word at a time, or what we call a token. Now, there's more kind of details to this, but if we just take it at that level, at that kind of surface description, it doesn't sound like something that does that just generates a word at a time would be capable of understanding. But I think philosophically, this comes down to what do we mean by understanding in the first place? If you've played with any of these tools, you'll see they actually kind of have a good understanding, which is weird to think if it's just a next word predictor. And to me, it has a notion of understanding. Like, if someone breaks up with someone else, you can think of all the emotional angst and heartbreak and things you would go through, then that would be your interpretation of understanding. ChatGPT doesn't live in the real world. It doesn't go to the movies with its boyfriend or girlfriend and potentially get broken up with. But if it's read every single angsty breakup letter on the internet, it's probably got a good idea of like, in the world of words, what does it mean to be broken up with? It has a notion of understanding that's maybe different from what we think of as understanding, but I think it's very limiting to just think of it as kind of something cold and computing, kind of the sci-fi version of a machine, because it really does capture something of what humans mean by breakup in that case.
So Benji, I want to give you almost like a practical example, and you can tell me if I'm understanding it correctly or not. So let us say I usually go into Google. In the old world of Google, I would search for what is AI, and it would give me back 50 websites that all deal with AI. And I would have to go to all 50 of them to look up what AI meant. In the new world, I now type into Google, and Google has on top its own AI. I say, what does AI mean? It goes into those 50 websites itself. It searches all of them. It determines what the best answer would be, and it provides me with a summary almost of everything that it's learned by going into those 50 websites. Am I describing AI correctly in the way that many of us use it when we go onto things like ChatGPT or Grok?
You're describing an application of it. So AI is the thing in that case. It's a broad term that we refer to as AI, but it's the thing that is doing all the hard work there. And the hard work there you can think of as broken down into multiple tasks. It's got to take what you've typed into it or spoken into it. It's got to figure out, and then it's trying to answer like what is it that Howie wants as a response to this. And that's going to involve doing a whole lot of things. It's got to, it's, in some of them, and I'm sure we'll see examples of this later, it'll generate some text of what it's thinking. And so in those cases would be the text that it thinks would be most useful to help it answer the question. So it's working through this. Some of that is going to trigger other actions that it can do, which might be browsing the web and going to certain websites. It gathers that text. Then it figures, okay, thinking back to what Howie asked for, I want some sort of summary of what AI is, and it's going to have to look through that text and figure out what is relevant here to answer this question. So it's really breaking it down into a whole lot of steps that, again, like in this case, is living in the world of text, but here it's got the ability to fetch and retrieve and summarize things for you. I mean, obviously it can do many other things. The same kind of ChatGPT type technology will write you the lyrics to a song in whatever style you want, or help you plan a recipe or a trip, or have philosophical arguments with you. But it's kind of relying on similar kinds of mechanisms to do that.
So Arthur Goldstuck, Benji keeps on using the word what AI thinks you want. Does AI actually think?
AI is programmed to simulate thinking. So it looks like thinking. And the old saying is, if it walks like a duck and squawks like a duck, then it's a duck. So if it looks like it's thinking and it convinces people it's thinking, then there is an argument to say it really is thinking. But in truth, it's simply following algorithms and trying to put one word after the next. As Benji was explaining, it essentially predicts what words should follow, but that is based on a vast database of words and language, which kind of allows it to average out what is the most likely next word. And that is a very crucial term, averaging out, because it means that the text that ChatGPT produces is average. You can make it more than average by prompting it very carefully, giving it tips and guidelines, and even uploading documents and telling it to emulate what you're uploading, and then it starts simulating creativity as well. I did an experiment for the first edition of my book where I asked ChatGPT in fact, I asked 3 of the major platforms, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and Google Gemini. I asked them to write 1984 as if it was written in a Shakespearean sonnet or a series of sonnets.
By that you mean the George Orwell book 1984. You've
Correct.
asked it to rewrite it as a Shakespearean sonnet.
Yeah, because I saw a lot of comment about people copying George Orwell and people copying Shakespeare through ChatGPT. So I thought, let ChatGPT combine the two. And I have to say, the first set of sonnets that it produced was superb. Gemini and Copilot were very poor at it, but ChatGPT was excellent. But then as I asked it to carry on, every protagonist or every character in the book being reflected in these sonnets or speaking via sonnets sounded the same. So it starts off looking creative, and then very quickly it becomes very average because it's designed to average out all of human language.
So Arthur, you mentioned a few things. You mentioned the word ChatGPT, you mentioned Grok, you mentioned Gemini. What are all of these things? And if I were to get started, what do I start with? What is ChatGPT? How's it different to Grok? How's it different to Perplexity? Tell us what's in the whole field, and how do we choose which one to use?
There's 8 or 10 mainstream platforms already, and many of them will already be built into people's computers or even on their smartphones. So to use ChatGPT, you have to go to the site and sign up. But it's excellent for conversation, for writing on any topic, and for compiling information. It's very poor at facts. So every fact it produces, you have to double check. Copilot, on the other hand, is great for productivity within Microsoft apps because it's built into Microsoft 365. And if you're a Windows user, for example, it'll keep popping up and asking. I'll quickly tell you exactly what it says to me now, and I'll pop it up. It says, "Good evening, Arthur. What can I help you with today?" And the options are: write a first draft, get advice, learn something new, create an image, make a plan, brainstorm ideas, practice the language, take a quiz. That's pretty versatile. And it'll do a pretty good job at all of those. It won't be very good at facts either, because it also hallucinates. That's the term for making up information, inventing it, because it's predicting words. It's not predicting facts. However, my favorite trick is to get ChatGPT to write something and then to paste it into Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, and ask it to fact check this piece. And it catches every error that's made by ChatGPT. So you actually have to play them off against each other. Then Google's Gemini is great for real-time research, and it's also deeply integrated into Google Tools, into Gmail as well as search. So very often you're actually going to be using Gemini without realizing it when you do a Google search. Then Facebook, or Meta rather, has got a tool called Llama, which is still experimental, and it's useful for experimenting and playing around, but it's not yet challenging the others. You've probably heard about DeepSeek, because that was the Chinese large language model that emerged in January and turned out to be almost as good as ChatGPT, but instead of spending $6 billion building it, they spent $6 million, or the equivalent thereof. And that sent the entire stock market into a tailspin, because people thought that's the end of AI, not realizing that AI requires massive resources to truly work well. But still, DeepSeek is great for multilingual purposes, and it's excellent at maths. It's been one of the most highly rated platforms for doing mathematical calculation. And it can do some of what ChatGPT does as well, and Gemini, in generating articles or content. However, it is heavily censored. It will not produce anything that is critical of the Chinese government or that recognizes the existence of the Republic of China, i.e. Taiwan. So you've got to be very careful with the built-in political bias there. Then you've got Claude from Anthropic. It's the one that's got everyone very excited, because they operate below the radar a lot of the time, and every now and then they announce a major new investment. And right now, they're on track to being the biggest competitor to OpenAI and their ChatGPT. ChatGPT is owned by OpenAI. So Claude is excellent for summarizing complex documents, and it's also fairly safe and thoughtful. It's not going to go off on a tangent like ChatGPT does, and it's far less liable to hallucination. Perplexity is quite a popular one amongst those who know how the different tools work, and it's great for citation-backed factual answers. In other words, it'll tell you where it got the answers from, and it's good for real-time web search. Something I should just mention: if you're using the free version of ChatGPT, then it doesn't have live access to the internet. It only has access to its database of language. The paid version, which right now uses something called ChatGPT 4.0, is not expensive, but it has live access to the internet. You just have to be very careful of where it sourced the information from. And then you've got Grok, G-R-O-K, which is Elon Musk's platform from his division, I suppose, called XAI. And it's great for insights from Twitter, which has been renamed X. A lot of the old timers still insist on calling it Twitter. It's good if you want edgy, uncensored responses within that Twitter ecosystem, but that you can translate what I just said into it's toxic, it's racist, it's anti-Semitic. And if you're going to use Grok, double check everything that it tells you with the other AIs. But the simple rule is what you produce in one platform, you should fact check in another platform.
So for Arthur, someone who hasn't played before, let's give them one recommendation, just one thing that they can start with, and tell us if it's free or if it's paid for.
If you are a subscriber to Microsoft 365 and you use the Office tools, then try Copilot. It's there waiting for you. It's in your system. You probably don't even realize it's there. The current taskbar on most Windows machines, if you're up to date on Windows, will actually have a little button for Copilot in it. The second one is Gemini, because if you are using any Google tools, then you don't have to log in, you don't have to create an account, and only then should you consider ChatGPT once you've tried the others. But I have to say ChatGPT is the most user-friendly in general. So if you want to go through the trouble of registering a ChatGPT account, it's free, then by all means start there first. The beauty of ChatGPT, and maybe we can go into that later, is how many specialist variations it has for very specialist purposes, but we'll come back to that.
So I want to ask the others, are you all in agreement with Arthur on where you start? Dale, tell us if someone were to begin, where would you like them to begin? What's the easiest to use? You need to unmute, of course.
Yeah, I need to unmute. And of course, I'm in agreement that if you are already using an existing platform that offers a tool, the logical choice would be to use the AI that accompanies that tool. I think the most accessible to probably the broadest group of people listening right now would be Llama. And while it is not the most advanced model, it is the most accessible because it exists within apps like Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, which I'm pretty sure all of us use at least one of these apps every single day. And how you access that is simply typing in the search bar of any of those applications. You can ask questions, you can input information, and you can even generate some imagery and that sort of thing. So that would definitely be another starting place to consider.
So Montine says she loves ChatGPT, and Lionel Greenberg says try monica.im. But Raphi, for someone just starting off, where would you tell them to start?
Yeah, I think the guys have said it. Copilot's pretty good if you're on Microsoft. Else Chat's great. And if you've got a legal problem, go myailawyer.co.za and go to
We'll get on to practical ones in a second.
But that's where I'd start.
Mark, where would you start?
Yeah, listen, I mean, every single platform that's been mentioned has merit. For me personally, just in terms of the ease of use and the way it can, just help you automate some of your daily tasks. For example, you write an entire email, but you don't want to worry about, spelling and the tone of voice and who you're speaking to. I'm personally a fan of ChatGPT. I think when it comes to the ease of use and the output in terms of the imagery that's recently been updated with the new release of 4.0, I think for me personally that's best. But I think anyone that's mentioned here, you can't go wrong. I think as a starting point to learn AI, it's just about exploration. It's about going into that UI, asking questions, and seeing what comes back. So instead of you having to spend 3 hours to go and find all of this information, it'll come back with the summarized version for something to you to apply your brain, as opposed to spending the 3 hours of your brain trying to find the info.
Benji, the one question, or one thing that Arthur mentioned was that some of these AIs do something called hallucinate. They give incorrect information. And I think all of us have read articles that lawyers have stood up in court, and they've had case law which they've quoted to the judges because they've used ChatGPT, and ChatGPT or one of the other models has made up cases, and the lawyers have gotten into trouble. And I want to use a practical example of this. The way I test each of them is I say, tell me how much you know about Howard Sackstein. Tell me about Howard Sackstein. And I then compare them, all the different ones, to see who gives me back the best answer about myself. And when DeepSeek, the Chinese one, came out, I said, tell me about Howard Sackstein. And the answer came back, Howard Sackstein is CEO of Hoskins Consolidated Industry, involved in the gambling and hospitality industry. And it gave me a description that was actually Johnny Copeland. It got the complete wrong person. I have no idea. But so, Benji, should people be a little careful and worried at this point in time about the answers that these models give back?
So this hallucinating point is interesting because especially when kind of ChatGPT exploded onto the scene, I guess kind of 2.5, 3 years ago, people, this has been one of the things they say. Everyone says, yes, but it hallucinates, so we can't take anything it does or says seriously. You know, what it's doing there is interesting because it's kind of evidence that it's not just sticking things together necessarily from databases. It's actually, again, it's kind of running something through its artificial brain. Everything it produces hasn't been copy pasted. It's been kind of generated. It's got a process internally where it's deciding what word to choose one at a time through all these mechanisms. And, you know, with all this complexity, it's got billions of these neurons that are firing, sending electrical signals to each other. It's emulating that whole process. And weird stuff can come out, but this is true of humans as well. And what's interesting is when we talk about AI, there tends to be this idea that it has to have 100% accuracy, or it's useless. But in reality, you know, what human has 100% accuracy on anything? I mean, everybody hallucinates some stuff. I mean, you know, sometimes we call that dreaming, other times we call that politicians. But, you know, everybody, you know, to some extent makes things up and fills in the gaps sometimes. And actually, there's well-studied phenomena that human brains do this all the time. There's multiple cognitive science tests where they'll kind of show people things like a picture of a picnic and ask them what wine was at the picnic. And 50% of people say red and 50% say white, but there was no wine actually in the image, that kind of thing. So people do this all the time. And again, it's because of the way that technology works. So what you'll often hear is they'll come out with a new version and they'll say it's less likely to hallucinate, but they'll never be able to say it can't hallucinate because that's how it works. On the other hand, this kind of tells us that it's doing something creative, which I think is also quite cool. But with your examples with, say, the lawyers that you mentioned and so on, I think really the way to think about these tools is imagine you've got like a ridiculously competent intern who's got several PhDs and has studied all these different disciplines, but has like zero experience of the real world. So is overly enthusiastic and incredibly naive. And if you said, go find me all the case law on something, you'd probably want to double check what it gave you before standing up in court and presenting that. That's kind of the failure of the person using the intern. And so I think we've got to think about AI in a similar kind of way.
So, Arthur, you're going to show us a few practical things. Is that correct? We have to unmute you, of course.
Do you want me to do a screen share?
Yes, please, if you would. You should be able to share your screen and show us practically a few examples of how we can use some of these models.
Share. Now you have to just hope and pray that there's nothing embarrassing here, or that there is. That would be even more entertaining. Okay. You can see ChatGPT in front of you?
No, I can still see you.
It
But
says
I
I'm
can see
screen sharing.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Does anyone else see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Is it there? Great. Okay. So this is the paid version of ChatGPT. Martine mentioned that she's even created her own GPTs on this. So that's one of the beauties of this. If you're really experimental and brave, you can actually go to any lengths. But what I want to draw your attention to is the tabs on the left-hand side. And if you go down, you'll see Codex, Sora, GPTs. That's people like Martini have created their own GPTs, as well as a library of GPTs that's available for you. And then Scholar GPT and Academic Assistant Automated Writer. These are all great tools for specific purposes. So I'm going to show you to start with Scholar GPT. And if you look carefully here, I'm just going to try to get rid of the...
Can I just check everyone's seeing everything? Sorry, my screen is doing weird things, but you can also all see Arthur.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. So this has got access to almost the world's academic resources. Not everything, but as I say, 200 million resources, as well as built-in critical reading skills. So they've added some more capabilities to this than you get in the basic chat GPT. It's also got access to Google Scholar, which has got a vast database of academic papers, as well as the others that you see there. And here it gives some examples of what you can do. And it says, for example, find the latest research about AI. So I'm going to say, write a journal article on AI webinars with full citations. It's got a few typos. I'm going to keep some of the typos in and see if it actually works. And then it says, I can't write a full journal article, but I can help draft a structured outline, provide academic references, generate key sections. Let's begin with a structured academic style draft. And then it gives an abstract, an introduction, a literature review, and it quotes the sources from which it's taken this information. And for all the world, it looks like an academic researcher has produced this material. So I'm just waiting for it to finish. It's giving me a lot more than I expected because it claimed that it could only do limited things. But you can see, and there's the reference list at the end. And what I've found with Scholar GPT is it's not 100% accurate. Benji will now, I'm busy working with him and a few other Wits departments on a PhD in AI. And I used this tool to find my citations for me. And I found that about a quarter of them were fake. And now look at this where it says it can now expand any section, e.g. make it journal length. So if you keep working on it and keep reiterating or iterating rather, it will produce an entire paper for you. And then it tells you what else you can do with it. So now I'm going to copy this response and I'm going to go to, oh, it wouldn't copy it. Failed copy to clipboard. Okay, it doesn't want me to steal other people's journal articles. I'm going to try another way of doing that. Going from the top. No, it doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, but the idea is it's a network error for some reason. Okay, I'm going to retry. I'm not going to waste your time reading the whole thing. While it's busy doing that, I'm going to move on to the next one. And that is Sora. I'm not going to generate a video in Sora. For some reason, Sora is messing around with the memory of my computer. It's very memory intensive. So earlier when I opened this tab, I could see the whole Sora interface. And now it's disappeared on me. Just 1 second.
This is what we call the curse of live demos.
There we go. Can you see Sora? Can you see a bunny and a brain in a bottle?
Yes.
Anyway, what you do now is you can either take those images and turn them into videos, or you can describe it an image like Howard Sackstein as a dinosaur, which is kind of normal for you, right, Howard?
Exactly. I've survived this long.
Exactly. So only a meteorite will take out Howard Sackstein. You hit the play button, and then what happens, you'll see up here towards the top is a series of little icons, and next to those icons, a little hourglass appears. You can see next to the text that I wrote, there's a kind of an hourglass turning. Normally, it appears for me at the top, and that's basically it's working on creating the the image. What you can then do, you see the menu on the left-hand side, and you can play around with those menus to create a video out of your image. Or you can upload your own image and ask it to create a video from that. It's still very early days. You have to, if you really want full functionality, it really costs a small fortune. Now it says added to queue. So it's very heavily overloaded because it's not the premium version. So everyone is trying to generate material on here. And you can now see that little hourglass. It's going to take a long time to produce the video. But if you have patience, then Sora is one of the most accessible image and video creation tools, combining image and video creation. Then from there, I want to take you to Codex, which is also part of ChatGPT. And what it tells you here, it's a cloud-based software engineering agent that answers code-based questions, executes code, and drafts pull requests. So what it's really saying, to translate that, it will write code. It will make the code writer or the code developer or the programmer redundant. I'm just kidding, it won't. But it helps them produce their work a lot more quickly, and also to check that their code is accurate and there aren't errors. And it's become a major resource for developers to make them better, not to replace them. So those are three of the key ChatGPT functions. We're quickly going to see what's happened with my journal article. It still says a network error. It still won't let me copy. But if I were to copy it, I would then paste it into Copilot and ask Copilot to double check the references for me. I would then also ask Copilot to tell me what's flawed in this paper, because there's always flaws. It's not an expensive model. It's a $20 a month tool that I'm using. So I can't expect it to do the work of Benji Rosman yet. It's far below ChatGPT or Scholar GPT's pay grade. Then quickly, a couple of other tools that are not ChatGPT that I'll show you. The one is Otter.ai. Now, this started off as being a fantastic tool for transcribing interviews. It changed my journalistic life around 5-6 years ago, where I no longer had to listen to a recording of an interview and painstakingly transcribe it. Here, I just hit the import button and load the recording into Otter, and 5 minutes later, it produces a transcript for me as well as a summary. So today I used it to record the launch of our new research into generative AI in South Africa, the South African Generative AI Roadmap findings. And if I go into that, we hope that Hourglass doesn't take too long. But what you'll see coming up is the transcript itself, full transcript, with the graphs that I was presenting in my presentation of the findings. So this becomes essentially the record of the event that I presented. But what's incredibly useful on this next to transcript is a summary button. And the summary is not just an overall summary of the event, but also action items that came out of it and outlines that I could use in terms of identifying the most important elements of the research. I'm not going to ask you to read this. It will be reported in many newspapers tomorrow, and you're welcome to contact me, email me for the full report. It's been sponsored by Dell and Intel, and they have enabled us to make it available at no cost to anybody. But here's a few nice tools. Amongst others, for example, I can export the transcript and then import it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to sum it up for me or to identify gaps in the research. Incredibly useful. And then the last one I want to share with you is actually one of my favorites, which is the AI music generator. So I'll ask it to create a song in country rock style, because I think that won't keep you guys too wide awake. I could do heavy metal, of course, but I know some of you are sensitive. So create a song in country rock style about the cool people watching an AI webinar sponsored by Jewish report. Some typos. And let's put a capital letter there. And generate. So I have no idea how long this will take. Oh, it wants me to prove I'm human. That's ironic, isn't it, Howard? I'm going to prove I'm human to an AI. Okay, so it's busy creating the music, and I'll talk you through this, through the implications of this while it's busy loading up the music. So Suno AI music pricing. Okay, I want a free plan. Let's just close that. I think they're just advertising at me. Okay. They thought they could con me into buying this service. If you're a serious composer and you want to experiment a lot, then it's worth paying for a professional version of this. Now, the problem with Suno AI is that it's trained on the styles of numerous musicians down the ages. And they've probably uploaded a massive amount of copyrighted music in order to train the tool. So it's highly controversial. They and several other creators of AI song creators are in fact being sued or are in various stages of litigation about where they stole or where they borrowed or where they trained their AI. Because all of these AI tools have to be trained on existing content. We are heading to a near future where AI will be able to train itself and not rely as heavily on existing material. But for now, everyone from OpenAI to Suno AI are essentially stealing the content on which they are training their models. This is taking a long time. So what I'm going to suggest is we move on, Howard. And we
Arthur, I just want to summarize before we move on. So what we've seen you demonstrate is you've used ChatGPT to write a lengthy dissertation for you. You used Sora to create a video for you, to generate a video for you. You've used Otter AI to summarize a meeting, the audio of a meeting, and transcribe it. And you've used Suno to create an audio for you. And is that audio ready? I see there's 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's still not quite there. Let's see
okay,
what
so we'll
there
come
we go.
back. Okay.
Taking on the screen, crowd rolls in, eyes wide open, where do we begin? Pixels and code, hearts and minds collide. Cool cats in the room, tech trains ride high. It's an you just call and hear it fall. You report on the mic, stand tall.
And there you have it.
Fantastic. So it's created your own musical soundtrack.
Exactly. And anyone can use it. That's a free version I was using. The first time I demonstrated it to people who were in the music industry, in fact, it was at a recording studio. I demonstrated it to them, and all of them said their blood ran cold because their immediate reaction was that they were out of work. But you very quickly discover that the quality that it produces is very pedestrian. You're going to listen to that once and be very impressed, and the second time you're going to fall asleep listening to it.
So
I think a meteorite just struck Howard's house.
Hello. Can you repeat the question?
As the senior academic here, maybe Professor Rosman should take over.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm going to reboot my machine, but Dale, if you can hear me, can you show us what you can do with some creativity?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I work for a large holding company that owns a lot of advertising agencies. And so, of course, we have a lot of people in over 100 markets around the world, and we focus on communication, marketing, and advertising. And a big area of what we do centers around creativity and coming up with ideas, developing products and helping companies sell their products. So we have to create adverts and messages that resonate with people. And these are some, when you're a owner of a brand like a big multinational like Coca-Cola or Nestle or L'Oreal, you are naturally going to be very intrigued at how these tools can help the teams who are creating material for you that is going out into the real world. And I think a lot of the areas where we really play are beyond sort of just AI as a text-based tool. And I think most of what we've discussed today has been using these large language models or AI tools in a text kind of format. Arthur has shown us some audio and imagery, but we've also looked at it really largely from using it in a similar way to a search engine. And I think it's important to note that AI is a lot more than a search engine. And it's going to change a lot of things in the world, how we interface with each other, how we interface with companies and service centers, for example, how we do shopping, and that kind of thing. And so I'm going to run through a couple of things. I'm going to try and share my screen because I want to talk about what I see on a daily basis in terms of headlines that sort of pop up constantly on my timeline. I see things like this with the captions going, "I created this advert with a single."
We can't see your screen yet.
Cool. So are you seeing it there now?
There we go. All good.
So we're seeing people sort of talk about how, we created all of these adverts, and it took me 1 hour to create this advert. And many of you have probably seen these examples. The reality here is that the purpose of this kind of stuff was to make an ad with AI. The problem is they're all bad ideas. They're all crafted terribly. None of them are suitable or of a quality standard that a brand owner would actually want. And so they're very interesting experiments, but these don't actually do the job that advertising needs to do. Because in advertising, when I'm showing you an image of a product, and we actually had a demo today with a company who was showing us how they can generate product imagery, and they proceeded to generate a picture of a camera to be placed on an e-commerce website. And one of the people on my team said, "Oh, but the camera's button is missing on the image that's been generated." And the comment we got back was, "Oh, wow, you're really good at attention to detail." To which my team member said, "Well, you should imagine how detailed the owner of Canon cameras is going to be when you're portraying an image of his product." So just like we see these hallucinations and these errors in text, we also see them in imagery. These tools, if I can be quite frank, are absolutely incredible at creating video and image content, but they're terrible at creating accurate imagery and video content. Because if someone were to order that camera online, they would probably return it because in the picture it didn't have a button, but in reality it does. And so these are a lot of the problems that big companies need to face when they start looking at and using AI. And so the first thing I actually want to share is an ad that it's one of my favorite ads that was not created entirely by AI. It was an ad that was created by people using AI tools, using human insights, and creativity, and they augmented their skills with some AI tools that could help them do the job. But make no mistake, these sorts of ads take a long time to create. There's a lot of back and forth in order to ensure consistency, and there's a lot of technology that goes into creating an ad like the one I'm going to show you, just to be able to show the product and the product's logo the way it's meant to be shown. So I'm going to kick off with this.
So Dale, I don't think we can hear audio when you shared the video. You just need to click on the share audio as well.
Okay. Apologies for that. Where would we find that?
If you click on the share button.
Okay, hold on. Here's audio settings. Excuse me.
If you click on share, you should see a share audio as well button.
No, it just takes me into audio settings. Apologies.
This is the problems with having techies on a webinar.
Perhaps you can give me some additional guidelines here. Leave computer audio.
Maybe unshare and reshare.
Sure, that's very, very strange. Apologies.
Yeah, I think stop sharing for a second.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
now if you would click share.
Okay, so I can select what I want to share.
Oh, on the right-hand side, is there not share audio? Share sound.
Beautiful fidelity. Okay, wonderful.
Share start. Okay, let's try that again.
Oh, now it's asking me for a password in order to share audio. I'm not sure if that's my computer's password.
No, it shouldn't be asking you for password.
Okay, are you able to hear audio now? Is there sound?
No.
Okay, maybe let me try and sort that out, and we can move on.
Okay, so let's get back to you, and maybe let's move on to Raphi while you sort that out. Raphi Segal.
Yep. Okay, so I'll share my AI lawyer and a bit of some other stuff. Let's put it in there. So this is quite interesting because listening to what everyone said, if we just go, what have we done here? We've curated legislation into this AI engine, and it's called My AI Lawyer. We named her Robin, so she is the assistant. Oh, Dale, you're back.
I'm so sorry. I think it might have worked now. Do you mind?
Not at all.
Sound?
Yeah, but we're seeing the presenter screen.
We should definitely be using Microsoft Teams for this in the future. How are we looking now? Do you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes. Screen and
sound.
Dale, I saw Coca-Cola videos.
So that is an example of what I believe to be a great ad created by people who are using AI tools to assist them in the ad creation process. And this ad was created using partly traditional production, so filming people filming a set, and then using AI to enhance the ad and bring in aspects of that production. But I don't believe AI would ever be able to come up with an idea like this at this stage, or have the insight to sort of go and work with the Andy Warhol Foundation and license all of these artworks to be used in these commercials and things like that. And so what I'm getting at, when we sort of see all of those examples and all of those claims, is that almost everybody lies when it comes to AI and how they're using it and what it's capable of today. And I think there's a few truths that are definitely worth sharing off the back of that. I think it's an extremely exciting, there's three truths, right? One, it's an extremely exciting time because I think everybody can become a creator again, right? We finally can question what the existing processes that we have always used to do all the different things that we've done. Two, you're not going to save time with AI. And the reason is it's because you can actually achieve a whole lot more than just saving time. And I think third, and hopefully this helps some people overcome perhaps the anxiety they feel around trying this, but you're going to break things. And so go and try it, have crazy ideas, use the tools that are most accessible to you, and break things. That is how you learn. And so to those who are saying, where do I start, in the comments with AI, go and start and just try things out. As I was saying when I started talking, I think it's vital that we move beyond using AI just as a tool to get information in the same way that we use a search engine. I use AI personally, tools like ChatGPT, to help me with tasks almost on a daily basis. I'm quite a scatterbrain. I'm a creative person, but I struggle to articulate my ideas to people. And so I'm often found wandering around my garden, rambling into ChatGPT for up to 20, 30 minutes, and then asking it to structure my thoughts and return them back to me in a way that other people will be able to understand them. And one of my favorite ways, actually, of using ChatGPT, which I do at least 3, 4, 5 times a week, and I can do a little demonstration now, is actually in the kitchen. And so these are the sort of practical ways that you can use these tools. It's not so advanced, but I'll give you a little demo of that. So I've got ChatGPT open up here on my mobile phone, and let's say we'll open up voice mode. Hi ChatGPT, are you able to help me with my dinner this evening?
Of course, I'd love to help you with your dinner. What are you thinking of making tonight? Do you have any ingredients in mind, or would you like some suggestion?
Well, what's actually happened is Meryl has arrived at my house uninvited. She's brought along 2 of her friends. They're now expecting something to eat. I haven't prepared anything and I wasn't expecting them. And so if I look inside my fridge, there's not a lot that I have. I've got 2 chicken breasts left over from last night. I've got a lemon. I've got some ginger. I've obviously got, olive oil and salt and pepper and things like that. I've also got some sushi ginger in a tin. I've got some baby potatoes in my pantry. Is there something you think I could whip up with all of these ingredients in under 15 minutes?
Absolutely. We can definitely pull something together with that. How about a quick lemon ginger chicken with roasted baby potatoes? You could slice up those chicken breasts nice and thin so they cook quickly, and then just toss them with some lemon juice, a bit of ginger, olive oil, salt, and pepper. And the baby potatoes you can roast really quickly if you cut them into small pieces. That should be a really nice and quick meal, and it sounds delicious.
Okay, great. Give me the recipe in the chat, please.
Sure thing. Here's a quick and easy recipe for you. Lemon ginger chicken with roasted baby potatoes.
So you can see it's so simple to use for these sorts of things. And what I've done there is I've given it a whole bunch of information and I've asked it to help me work with that information, which is very different to asking it to go and find information for me. And so I'm pretty sure people from all different industries in work can do the same by uploading information that's unique to the task that they're trying to do, and then working with these tools to help them structure that information or work with that information. And that's one of the ways that I use AI on a daily basis.
That's quite amazing, especially on the recipe part. Raphi, you were going to show us about my AI lawyer. Let's have a look at that.
Okay, great. Let me share my screen there. Move that over. Okay, so just maybe to give some background, can you hear me and can everyone see the screen?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so just to give some background, it's a digital repository of legal regulation and legal content. The idea behind this was to be able to serve up South African specific legislation, regulation, and precedents through a very, very usable, viable interface. We do have a web interface into it, but we've also connected it to WhatsApp. We like to say that it's digital when you want it, human when you need it, meaning that it's not an autopilot. It's a co-pilot, and so you can ask any kind of question around labor, around family law, around commercial, criminal, and it will try and have a sense of compassion and empathy when it's bringing you these answers. It's an integrated into the legal and taxes human lawyer. So there is a human lawyer in the loop. And to kick it off, let me show you. You typically go in on WhatsApp, and I'll give you the number if everyone wants it. You hit AI to kick it off, and it will then put it into AI mode. Transfer me to the AI lawyer. And so we've curated all this content in the background. And when you come in, you've got a couple of options. If you're not sure what to ask, you can click on that button. It'll give you examples of what to ask. It will open up a PDF. You can open that up. And you then have the insight here about kind of what it does, how it works, some questions you may want to ask. Help me draft a letter. I'm starting a side hustle. Help me draft a will. Help me. So it's kind of got all of the information around various life events that you could ask a question on. So at this moment in time, I think we have about 90,000 questions that have come through this platform. I'm going to take this as an example. Focus on some of the matrimonial stuff. What are the legal requirements for getting married in South Africa? And so I could just paste that in there, and it'll give me hopefully a good answer. As I start to tune it up, and I think one of the team was talking about it. The more I show the stress that I'm under or the anxiety I have about something, the more sensitive this engine becomes. It's also quite smart because it uses all these icons to show stuff. So it's legal and tax services. It's got a little ring there. So it's saying, legal requirements for marriage in South Africa. Then it gives me some facts. In South Africa, the legal requirements for getting married are governed by the Marriage Act. And so you can sign up for this. There is a freemium version, so you can ask a couple of questions for free. And if you find value in it, you can then sign up for this. you can ask any kind of question. You can ask for follow-up questions from, maybe if I'm thinking of getting married, I might want to think about having a ANC, or I might want to have a will, and so it will actually start to move you through these processes. However, I think what else we've got is that you can speak to it. So we've seen already a whole bunch of what we'll call multimodal, meaning that you can see there's sound that's embedded in it, there's imagery embedded in it. We'll start to see vernac coming through. So, I mean, maybe Benji can talk a little bit about like the great work they've done there. So you can ask questions in Afrikaans or in Zulu, in Xhosa, and you'll start to get answers, specifically in that language. You can have a whole thread of conversations. If you want to, you could then route through to a human. If you said this helped, then what you can do is you can actually give your email address, and it will send you the whole chain of the email with your conversation. So I'll just send that through. I'll show you what that does. So in the background, we continuously curate this information so that we're trying to ensure that the system doesn't hallucinate, that it actually is focused on the question you're asking, and that you're getting answers appropriate to that question. So let me just see if it's come through. You could always kick it again. Give it a couple of secs. Okay. And so then you'd get an email, and you can get, thank you for reaching out to my AI lawyer. Obviously, this is embedded in the legal and tax platform. What are the legal requirements? And if this was a multi-threaded conversation, I would be getting all this information back. The great thing about WhatsApp, and I think, again, someone spoke about it, is you don't need any training in WhatsApp. You can immediately get going. You can ask your questions. Everyone needs to know, everyone knows how to use it. And so it's coming through a platform. It's all sitting on the Microsoft platform. It's super safe. It's responsible AI. It's AI for good. And there's a lot of effort between the legal team at Legal Interact and legal and tax to make sure that this information is really valuable and viable. I think.
So Raphi, can you ask it a few questions for us?
Sure. Well, if I was going to get married, maybe I should ask, what steps should I take if I want to file for a divorce? Bit of Hobson's choice in this one. So it'll come up, it'll bring some information in. And so if I was saying, okay, so you can see, actually I kicked that out of the AI mode, so I'll just put myself back in. And so of the 90,000 questions, what you may find interesting is the bulk of questions that have come through have been around labor, have been around marriage, consumer protection, a lot of dispute or advice information. So a lot of that is what we see. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we see there, and so we could ask a whole bunch of different questions around different topics. Steps to, and so it gives you the broken heart. And I think, this was the point that was being made. It's super creative, it's generative, it understands the difference in, like, when you're getting married, you're going to get the icon.
So can we test it with a question from me?
Yeah, sure.
I'm a waiter and I broke a plate at work. Can my boss deduct the cost of the plate from my salary?
And this is live, so let's see.
in theory, should it be able to answer a question like that?
Absolutely. So let's see what it does. Firstly, it gives you a fork, a knife, and a fork, a plate, and a knife, and says, "Can your employee deduct costs from your salary? If you're a waiter and accidentally broke a plate at work, your employer's ability to deduct the cost from your salary may be limited by South African employment laws. Here are the key points to consider. Then your employment contract, consent required, fairness and reasonableness, labor laws, dispute." And I think it might have even had needed to bring in the CPA, but I don't know if you want to go through this and kind of have a look, but you'd be able to probably say, if there was complete negligence on your side, would you be responsible for that cost? If it was by mistake, what were the mitigating circumstances? And so we'd be able to keep going through it. Like, next steps, what should you do? Review your employment contract and discuss the situation with your employer. If necessary, seek legal advice to understand your rights. And then a consultant from legal and tax can support you through this. And then you could, the example questions to go onto the next part. So I'd like to discuss the policy regarding deductions for damages at work. So I think that and you could keep going further and further through this process. And of course, when you want to, you could talk to a human and just click that button or route you through to a human lawyer.
Amazing. You also wanted to show us something on Perplexity that you're working on.
Yeah, so let me just, it's kind of one of the areas I work in. And I think one of the nice things about Perplexity, and let's just ask it, what can you...
What is Perplexity? Arthur mentioned it earlier when he was talking about all the different models out there. Is Perplexity just another model?
So I would say Perplexity is a bit of a wrapper over these models. It's curated with all citation research work that's in the background of this model. The great thing about Perplexity is you can do an easy, just a straight search for fast answers. You could do a research. So if you wanted to do a bit more deep research, you could send the system on that route. If you wanted to actually get an output, so not only tell me about Howard, and I spelled it a bit wrong, but actually generate a PowerPoint presentation or whatever it is, the lab would do that for me. Then if I actually wanted to look, I could say, well, I want to see the web. I'd like to look at the social Reddit details about Howie Saxton, so it would look at that for me. If there's anything I wanted to attach, I could bring that in there. There's one thing I wanted to see, let's just put that there, is these are the models that was being spoke about. So, you can let it to decide on which model it wants. Sono is Perplexity's model. Claude is known as the model without the drama. So it is Anthropic's model, and it competes with Chat. And Chat is the GPT models, but they have all the drama. And these are obviously all unicorn juggernauts.
Okay, so let it go. We don't want the theory. We want to see the practicality. So let it go.
Let's see. Okay. So off it goes, and it starts to see what it can tell me about Howie Saxton. And it's now running through not only the internet, but it's also going to run through social media. It's going to run through Reddit. It might run through Twitter. I could have taken the opinionated Grok, and that would have come up with something very, very interesting as we ran through it. So it's going to go through here. It's still going to summarize. This is just the collection of information. It's got 11 sources at this moment. It's going to take a bit of time. They'll run through. Is this looking like you, Howie?
It looks fairly accurate.
Education, anti-apartheid, international advocacy, career highlights, IEC. And so what's great about this is that you actually can see the sources from where it's getting this information, which means that you can drill into it and you can actually validate without having to kind of validate or evaluate if this information is a whole bunch of hallucinations that the system's generated. So this for me is really, really helpful, because when you're trying to look at data around AI, there's, in this case, fiction is stranger than fact because these things hallucinate. That's what they're designed to do. So it's great to be able to get to these citations. And then what you do is based on the information, I can get to further information. And so this just helps you in terms of, building a chain of thought in terms of how do I move forward with this data. So I think that's really interesting. And then
So we're suggesting, Raphi, that everyone goes into whether it's ChatGPT or Perplexity or Grok and just puts in their own name and asks it what it knows about you.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And let's see how accurate that is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're going to come back to you to talk about meta glasses in a few minutes. But Marc, you've been working at dsrupt with some very interesting new technology, and we're going to play a little bit of a game. Is that correct?
100%. I think what we want to do is kind of make this interactive. So, I mean, there's been a lot of talk around, ChatGPT and image generation. So what we've kind of done is, I think for me personally, when you can call something truly AI, and I think talking to Dale's point early, is when it's easy to use. So I think a lot of these different models are in a place where I wouldn't necessarily say that easy to use, but I want to give you an example of what happens when it actually is easy to use and it's fun and interactive. And that's, I think, where do I just replace the current share? Yeah.
Is that not your screen we're seeing in front of you?
No, that's not mine.
Okay, Raphi, in which case you're probably still sharing your screen. Please stop sharing your screen. Okay, now you have the ability to share yours.
Okay, perfect. Just tell me can you see my screen now?
We can see your screen.
Perfect. So what I've put up on the screen here, sorry, there's a whole lot of pop-ups coming up here, is essentially
I think Marc just froze.
Perhaps he should close that pop-up.
Okay, while Marc tries to log back in, I want to take over and say, if you have your cell phone with you, and I'm sure everyone does, I want you to take your cell phone and I want you to open up the camera on your cell phone. And you see there's that interesting 3D looking barcode on your screen at the moment. I want you with your camera open, don't take a picture, but point your camera at that barcode over there, and you'll see I'm on an iPhone. It opens up a little bit of a yellow thing, and just with that, we lose the picture. We have been plagued by technical issues tonight, Benji Rosman. Do you think that is because we've been playing with technology and the technology gods take revenge? I've had to reboot and come in and out 4 times on this webinar. What is going on?
They don't like what you're up to.
This is so typical, though. It's literally every single time for the amount of years I've been doing this. Every time there's a demo, something goes wrong.
Okay, so Marc, while you were away, we told everyone to take their cell phones, to open up their cameras, not to take a picture, but to point their camera at that barcode that you see on the screen, and it's going to give you the opportunity to click on a little link. It's almost like a website link. Is that correct?
100%, Howie. What I've actually shown you on the screen is I've kind of shown you step by step. And I think the point of this is, and what we're going to do after this is we're going to send you the link. We're also going to send you the QR code, and we're going to leave it open for a good couple of days. So don't feel pressurized to get it all right now and actually get the QR code working. We'll leave that open for you. But just to show you the step of how to do it, if you haven't done something like this before, is you take your phone, and as if you were going to take a picture of your kids or your grandchildren, open up the camera. What you'll notice is once you place the camera over the QR code, if you have a look at this little camera over here, you'll see a little link pop up that's on the screen that wasn't there before. As soon as that little yellow link pops up, click on that link, and then it's going to take you to our page where it's prompting you to essentially turn you into a Jewish superhero. So the steps I think are very simple. It's select face. After you've selected your face.
No. That's hold on. It says select face. You click on select face.
Yeah.
And it gives you an option, at least on an iPhone, it gives you an option. Do you want to go into your photo library, take a photo, or choose a file? I've got a lot of pictures of myself on my phone, so I'm going to click on photo library, but I could also click on take a photo and take a photo immediately if I wanted to.
100%. So I think that's the only real caveat. So as mentioned, we are going to send this out. So if you don't manage to work this out now, in your own time, when you're either at your desktop or on your phone, you can sit and go through this, but there are the options. So if you are using your cell phone or anything that has a camera, you can click on camera and take a photo of yourself. As how we mentioned, if you've got a photo in your library, go in, upload it. The cool thing with this is go wild. I mean, if you want to take photos of family members, of yourself, go in, play around, and we just want to show you the ease of use of where, in my opinion, AI is going. I think in some areas it's already there. For example, being able to do what we do here. So I'm just, for those of you that haven't done it yet, I'm just going to quickly show you an example of what you're going to get back. So once you've
once we've taken the photo, and then underneath says pick a theme. So we click a theme, and it's called the SAJR Sentinel Select. And it's asking me for my name, so I'm just going to put my name and my last name in, and it's asking me for a phone number. The only reason it's asking me for the phone number is because it's going to send me something, and it's also asking 100%. For my email as well, because it can mail it to me, and then I'm going to click on Create Hero.
100%. So I think, the best thing is put in all your information, put both your cell number and your email, just in case. I mean, obviously it being technology, it might send to one and not the other. And if you don't receive anything back within the next, let's say 30 seconds, there could have been an issue in terms of the picture that you've uploaded. So as we've mentioned, many times before in this webinar, is go try again. The whole point is trial and error, and to learn something. I mean, it's essentially, if you weren't brought up with technology, it's a learned skill. I mean, I can give you a prime example. I was actually telling Howard earlier, is I've been on a computer my entire life. So since I can remember, I've used a computer, and I've recently switched from a default computer, the one that uses Windows, to now a Mac, an Apple Mac. So for those of you that aren't technical, it would be like going from driving a BMW to a Mercedes. And I'm not that proud to say, but I spent about half an hour earlier just trying to work out how the hell do I scroll down from one page to the other. So it's purely a learned skill and something that you've got to try it. So go through this process, try it out, and I just want to show you what we're actually going to generate back. So I've actually got a picture of. So now I'm going to prove my point. Okay, so this is the one I did of myself. So essentially, we're transforming you into what we've called a Jewish superhero. So it's going to transform you into a superhero flying over Jerusalem. And then along with that, we're going to give you a video, which is essentially going to animate you as a superhero, flying over Jerusalem. And I think this is a great case for what AI is and what it can be. So, I mean, if you had to take this practically, if you wanted to, I mean, I have no skills in terms of being creative. I think my creative ability stopped at drawing stick figures in kindergarten. But I managed to actually come up with this theme just by prompting it. So using asking, essentially the AI to make me something. And I said, I want to create a Jewish superhero in Jerusalem. And it came back and it gave me something I wasn't happy with. So I said, no, please change the one arm, make it silver, change X, Y, and Z. And then finally, it gave me something that was something that I was happy with. And this took me probably, I would say, 5 minutes to do. And this is with no sort of background at all. So in my opinion, AI in certain fields, it's going to level the playing field, because if you wanted to go through this process, let's say even 3 years ago, if you wanted to go and get something designed like this sort of image, I mean, you would have to get a very highly skilled designer. It would take probably 8 to 15 hours. That would be anywhere with a ballpark figure of 5 to 10,000 Rand. Then you would have to go and take what you've designed and get another designer to be able to Photoshop that and take your face and put it on the image. And that would probably look at another 3,000 Rand in order to do that. And then on top of that, to animate it and bring it to life, you would have to take it to an expensive studio. And that would cost you anywhere upwards of 15,000 to 30,000 Rand just to get this little picture and an 8-second animated video where, I mean, in reality, the actual cost of this, if you bring it down to actual direct costs, would be, I would say, maybe one US dollar for all of it to come together, which is phenomenal. And I think it's definitely going to change the game going forward. I think, it's also key to remember is that it doesn't take the creative part out of being creative. I think, what everyone's reiterated on tonight is it's taking away the admin of the work that you need to do to be able to make the decision. So that's kind of the whole ethos of this, is go and play with the different tools and see what you can do in order to save yourself time. I think I can give a prime example from my side, is that I write, let's say, 20, 30 emails a day. Every single time I write an email, I open up ChatGPT, I splurge whatever on my brain, I put it in there, and I essentially hit enter, and ChatGPT knows, take whatever is in Mark's brain and make it into a coherent email that you can send back to a client. I copy paste that back in and I send the email.
Well, so Mark, let's stop sharing that screen, because I think people have seen the
Oh,
image.
sorry, I'm actually sorry. I've taken. I thought I took back.
And I can show people already that my superhero has arrived in my email. At least my pictures, and I'm sure the video is on its way as well. So if you haven't tried, this is your opportunity. Take your phone, point it at that barcode, and just fill in the details. But Mark, we're going to, in another 30 seconds, ask you to stop sharing your screen.
Sure.
And I'm going to go back to Dale, because Dale, I think some of the creative work that you showed us was just so fascinating. There are other adverts. There's a Serena Williams thing that was done for, I think, Nike, that you would like to show us.
Yes. And so, again, I think if we kind of move beyond just using AI to search or to create copy or to create imagery or very basic videos, when we start using it to look at data and information and analysis of those sorts of things, we can do some very, very interesting things.
So I'm going to ask Mark to stop sharing his screen, because Dale won't be able to show us. Cool.
Okay, great. So I think before I show you the ad, Mark spoke about, how these tools are going to change and evolve a lot of industries, including sort of the advertising marketing industry. And so if we take an example of creating a TV ad, right? In the past, you would have to sell this idea to your client. So you would typically come up with what your story is going to be. You would have to go to an illustrator who would take potentially days to draw out the storyboards, each scene that you would be showing in your advert. And then the client would make some changes and another few weeks would go by. And this is why adverts took months and months to make. Okay. We've developed our own internal tool called WPP Open, which we have roughly 50,000 people in our organization using this tool at this point in time. And they're using it for all sorts of things across the entire business, whether it's back office, legal, strategy, synthetic focus groups, agents that help you ideate your ideas or select media plans or things like this. But when we get into actually creating an ad, we can do some very, very interesting stuff. And so what I'm about to show you is using Google's new VO tool, as well as our tool, which has VO integrated into it. I'm definitely going to attempt to share with sound. Can you see the lovely man with mustache?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So let me launch this ad for you guys. So what you are going to see here is real software being used.
Okay, they loved the concept. Let's explore how this is actually going to work. Production studio. Let's start by visualizing this thing. All right, VO. Amaze me. For this, I'm thinking award-winning car director meets dystopian road trip. A mustached protagonist. The script says we're on an adventure, so let's push this. Bad weather, erupting volcanoes. Now let's add texture. Rain on the windshield. More drama on this lava flow. Sweat on this bobbling head. All right, need more tension. Dense fog, falling boulders. There we go. Okay, let's map our multi-purpose shots and see how we use plates for our digital twin builds. Virtual production. This will probably save us a trip to Iceland. Sorry, team. The planet will thank us later. Modularity, check. Ready for assemble. Let's set our market variations to fill our dynamic pipeline. We're there. A hybrid production plan is the smartest way through this. Yeah, you're telling me. And I thought I'd seen it all.
So this is the way that teams are starting to ideate and put together information to share with clients in order to convey their ideas and have clients buy into their ideas. The ad campaign that I'm about to show you was a campaign done by one of our agencies, this was done by, I think it was VML or AKQA, and it was for Nike. And it'll explain in the ad what we actually did, how we used the AI to create a tennis match between Serena Williams and Serena Williams.
And transform this data into a live entertainment event. This is Never Done Evolving, featuring Serena from 1999, the year she won her first Grand Slam, against Serena from 2017, the year she won her 23rd Grand Slam. Based on archival footage, machine learning was able to model each era's playing style. Decision-making, shot selection, reactivity, recovery, and agility. The virtual match was created by building on the bid-to-player technique developed by Stanford University. The result was seeing both Williams play herself in 130,000 games.
We're all extremely passionate about sport. When we look at the data we capture, there's beauty in that. The lines and curves, it's like a symphony.
The game was launched as a live event, narrated by Josh Appel, tennis main narrator during Serena's era.
In tennis, there are no bigger dream matches than this one. One Grand Slam title against 23 Grand Slam titles.
The results surpassed nearly all Nike's YT benchmarks, spreading through all media courts.
This level of excellence, it kept over so many decades, is just absolutely astounding.
But you remember the feeling she gave you. And the inspiration she gives to so many players and so many fans is what her legacy will be, and it's what's created.
Yeah. I feel it's more of like an evolution of Serena. And
The results surpassed nearly all Nike's YT benchmarks, spreading through all media courts.
This level of excellence, it kept over so many decades, is just absolutely astounding. But you remember the feeling she gave you. And the inspiration she gives to so many players and so many fans is what's created.
I feel it's more of like an evolution of Serena.
So there, it wasn't actually about the ad itself being created by AI, but we actually streamed a tennis match generated by AI. Serena Williams versus Serena Williams after analyzing her matches at 2 points in her career. I do have a few other things I'd love to show, but in the spirit of time, Howard, how am I looking? Could I show one more?
So Dale, one more thing, and then I think we need to wrap up for the night.
Okay, fantastic. If I'm only going to show you guys one more thing, then I'd like to sort of take you into the future, because we've shown AI from a text perspective, an image perspective, creating some videos. We've looked at how it can be used to analyze video footage. So I think that touches on how AI can see. And in many cases, it can see better than us. There's an example, unfortunately, I don't have it in this deck, where we show a picture of what most people see as being an egg. But when we put it into an AI system, it actually shows us that this is a white cat curled up, and someone has actually placed an orange in the middle of its body. And so to the human eye, we see an egg, but AI actually sees better than us, arguably. So what I'm going to show you now is some advanced work that we've been doing with NVIDIA, who builds a lot of the chips that power almost all AI systems around the world. And one of the questions I saw in the comments of the chat was, doesn't AI use a tremendous amount of water to cool the data centers and a huge amount of electricity? And that's absolutely true. And in the marketing world, the biggest area where we emit carbon footprints is actually the photo shoots and the video shoots for commercial. If you think about people flying around the world and going to different locations and waiting for the clouds to be perfect, etc. So what happens is we've introduced something called virtual production, where instead of taking a car to Iceland to go and film it, we can send a drone or a robot to go and film the location for us. And we bring that location back into a studio in London or New York, and we're able to then put people in the studio as if they were in Iceland. And we've also got a few interesting tricks around how we bring products into that environment too. So let me run this video. It's probably some of the most advanced AI work happening currently in the world, and it's looking at the modality of actual 3D models.
But one of the things that I would love to show you, and I had this made not by myself, well, I had it made myself. Okay, this is an incredible video, and this is a work that is done by WPP, Shutterstock, working with some of the brand world-class, world-famous brands that you'll know. Let's run the video. Let's show them.
Build me a table in an empty room, surrounded by chairs, in a busy restaurant. Build me a table with tacos and bowls of salsa in the morning light. Build me a car on an empty road, surrounded by trees. Buy a modern house. Build me a house with hills in the distance and bales of hay in the evening sun. Build me a tree in an empty field.
Build me hundreds of them in all directions, with bushes and vines hanging in between. Build me a giant rainforest with exotic flowers and rays of sunlight.
And so that is really what the future of content production looks like, and the way that we will engage with AI tools using our voices to generate all sorts of information and all sorts of content, and be able to wield it simply through our descriptions.
it takes creativity to a completely new level. Dale, if I can ask you to stop sharing your screen there, and if we can turn to all of our panelists, and maybe I can start, Benji, with you. Is AI a threat to all of our jobs?
Very much so. We don't know how things are going to pan out, but you know, just looking at the snippet of what we've seen tonight, what's exciting and really powering this is the diverse set of applications that really AI is able to tackle. This is so much more than just having production lines being built for the first time. This is really, you know, we view the kind of peak of human creativity as being what we can build, what we can create ourselves. This is what intelligence is all about, and a lot of these things are now being automated. AI is in its infancy. I mean, the field's been around for 50 or so years, but really the kind of modern wave of it is 3 or so years old. We're seeing crazy things. There's over 500 academic papers written a day at this point. There's over 70,000 AI companies in the world at this point. There's huge amounts of money being thrown into this, and many of us actually work in the field are scared that just about some of the ways that things are evolving. I think it's an exciting time. I think so many things are going to change. There's so many, you know, so many challenges that we have as a species, as a society, and the way we solve challenges is typically we throw more intelligence at them. Whether that's, you know, anything from diseases to war to all sorts of things. And we're on this kind of era now where we have kind of limitless intelligence that we're able to throw at all sorts of problems that we're facing. But what does this mean? Because these are all the things that we've been doing in the past. And I think this is going to require a bit of a rethink of who we are as humans and what our relationship is to machines and to work and what we do with our time. And I think in the next few years, these are going to be the big questions we're going to have to answer.
Arthur, if you had a choice to go to the doctor and your doctor was either standard doctor or using AI, who do you think would give you a better diagnosis and a better treatment?
It's, in fact, an issue that I've been wrestling with for a little while now, because I've had to see a few doctors for various reasons in the last while. And I have to say that the one who is experimenting with AI is the one who gives me far greater hope that my health future is well looked after. But I have to say that the other doctor who's still stuck in the 20th century is excellent. And his sheer depth of experience is what wins the day. But he's a GP. When it comes to specialists, I don't trust the specialist who is not using advanced tools, including AI. And if the best treatment for a condition happens to be robot surgery, I want that robot surgery. I don't want the old timer who says he doesn't trust robots. I do.
So, Marc, tell me what will keep the humans relevant in the future. Is it our compassion? What is it that will require still the human touch rather than artificial intelligence doing something for us?
I think I'm definitely more of an optimist when it comes to this question. I think AI, in my opinion, and my hope for AI, is that it'll make us more human. So instead of having to spend countless amounts of hours doing administrative tasks and things that are mindless, it will allow us to be more human and, essentially, do the things that we want to do. We don't have to sit behind spreadsheets all day and admin. I think, my hope is that it's going to elevate and automate a lot of those tasks. So I think I really think it will allow us more time to be human and less time on the PC or on the laptop.
So, Marc, just by the way, people are inundating me with photographs of their superhero Jew photographs. They're busy all WhatsApping them, and some of them are absolutely spectacular. So if you haven't tried Marc's app, the dsrupt.ai app, please go and do it. And one of the things that we'll be doing after this, if you've registered for this webinar, one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be sending out a list of things to you to say, like, try the following AI models, here's the website, go onto it, or these are the apps to download, or if you want to create video, here are some video creating apps to try. But we really want people to get their hands dirty. And after I ask Raphi this question, I'm going to do one last swing through the panel, because I'm going to say to everyone on the panel, just give one piece of advice to everyone just to start their AI journey. But Raphi, the question that I want to know from you is, we're at the beginning of AI. This is really the first few years of it. It will never get worse than it is today. It is only going to get manifoldly better. And you just look at the progress that we've made in the last 6 months, the last 12 months, the speed and acceleration of development is just almost astronomical. In 5 years' time, what do you think we'll be talking about?
That's a tough one, because I think responsible AI is probably the thing we have to worry about the most. How do we in this world where it can think of anything, create anything, see anything, do anything, there will be really good actors that will do a lot of good work with AI for good, but we also have a lot of bad actors, and so there'll be a lot of threats that we're not aware of. So I think responsible AI is going to be the real challenge in our future.
So Dale, give us your thought to get people on the journey. What should they do? What should they play with? How should they really enjoy the benefits that AI brings to them?
Well, I think, it's just this idea of have fun at this stage. I think, when we talk about how it's going to affect people, I think naturally we move towards jobs and the workplace. And I think people who are in businesses or own businesses and have jobs are wondering, how can this help me and how is it going to affect me? And so I'd like to share a design principle from a thesis of one of my colleagues called the empathy graph. And how it works is you effectively map out, the tasks that you do, potentially in your role in your business, or the tasks and the functions of your actual business. And what you do is you ask yourself a simple question, which is, if I add empathy to this task, will it make the outcome better or worse? Now, empathy, of course, is a bit of a metaphor for more brains or more people. And so if we look at, sort of the type of things we do in the marketing world, we do everything from like generating insights to creative development, all the way through to sort of logistics planning and financial forecasting. And so in that example, if I were to say to you, do we want to get 5 more people to bring their hopes and dreams along when doing a financial forecast? That's not going to make the outcome of the forecast any better. And so when the answer to that question is no, what we establish is this is a low empathy task. And in those cases, there's an opportunity for people to use AI to fully automate that task. Okay, where we look at something like, okay, I've got to do creative development, come up with an idea or an insight. If I bring more people to that process, the outcome will be better. And so in that case, what we do is we provide those people with tools to augment their skills and enhance their skills. And so that design principle, I think, is something that can be applied across any business, across any task, as well as across anyone who is doing things and wondering if and where and how they could use AI tools to either automate or augment themselves.
But Benji, Rosman, that actually means that AI doesn't have empathy. But I'm told from people that it is the cheapest way to get therapy, that the people who ask the ChatGPT and say, I'm feeling not great today, and ChatGPT actually empathizes with them and gives them advice and tells them what to do. There is a degree of empathy that we've taught to these AI models.
Well, in fact, we've actually just written a paper on this that we've done some benchmarking of some of these kind of standard AI tools that Arthur took us through earlier. And on a set of standardized empathy tests, they score much higher than people do, regardless of their age, their gender, or how much training they've had in psychology. And this is interesting because, you know, for a long time, people said AIs will never be creative, and then they said, oh, wait, hang on. Well, they'll never be empathetic, and now hang on again. So, you know, this is an interesting challenge because, again, it goes to the question of what is it to be human? Now, when I talk to my students and many of my colleagues, actually at universities all over the world, turns out students everywhere have been using these things as therapists for a while now. And there's a lot of warnings about this, about the potential risks, but I think there's also a lot of benefits. This is starting to get studied. People are starting to kind of come out with kind of papers analyzing this with specific tools, looking at how we kind of build AI specific therapists and so on. But the reality is that this is happening everywhere. And I think, again, that's something very exciting is the kind of applications of AI are wild. It's a bit like, you know, when smartphones first came out and this App Store thing came out with them. And really, that's been the magic, is all the crazy, wild, and wonderful apps that you have on your phone to do absolutely everything. Like, we're just starting to see that being unlocked for the first time. And these kind of these use cases, these implications are going to exceed our wildest imaginations.
So, Marc, will my AI speak to your AI? Will it make an appointment for me at the barber? Will it decide who to invite for dinner on Friday night? Will it speak to all my friends' AIs and schedule the time that we should watch rugby together? Will it work out what our best movie that we'd all enjoy together? Is this ultimately going to be people's AIs talking to each other in order to improve our lives?
So, I mean, that definitely seems to be the sentiment of where AI is going, is that my AI will talk to your AI. So, and I keep reiterating the point of those administrative tasks that waste our time during the day. I really feel like that's where AI is going to move to, is it's going to essentially become your own personal assistant that can, yeah, essentially do everything for you and start to understand you. I mean, what I've started doing with these large language models is I always say please and thank you, just in case one day they decide to turn on us. They'll always know that I was the polite one.
But Marc, every time we say please and thank you, I believe we're costing the AI companies an enormous amount of money.
Listen, I think for the safety of yourself in the future, it's worth it.
So, Arthur, the final word goes to you. What excites you most? And just what excites me most is I think a lot of people are going to go out and buy this book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to AI. The new edition is out next month. Is that correct?
It'll probably be on the shelves at the end of this month, but at least by the 1st of August, it'll have a blue cover. It'll look similar, but there'll be a map of Africa on it, and it will be called The Hitchhiker's Guide to AI, The African Edge. And as I mentioned in the chat, it's got a full chapter on prompting and charts of how to prompt for what purpose. But what excites me a lot at the moment speaks to what Marc was just saying a moment ago, which is the concept of the AI agent. And it's probably a word that most people haven't come across yet, but in the AI world, it's dominant at the moment. Every tech company in the world is trying to sell people their own concept of AI agents. And the idea of an agent is that it does a specific purpose or performs a specific role. And you can have an agent that is designed specifically to, for example, book appointments. And that can be from a haircut to a restaurant. which were early examples of AI in action for ordinary people. And that has improved dramatically. The agents will take it to a new level. The best agents will be those that will, for example, give legal assistance, probably plugged into Raphi's system or similar. But they will be your own personal agent to give you legal advice. Same with medical advice. You'll have a medical agent. But I believe the most powerful will be the educational agents that kids and students will be able to use to tutor them and to guide them, not to do their homework for them, but to guide them, to explain to them, and to take them along the educational path at their pace rather than the classroom pace. And I think that will be transformative for education. But just extrapolate that idea into any area in the enterprise world, in the arts world, and you can see that the concept of the agent is going to be very powerful. And the question you asked, Howard, was, will my AI speak to your AI? Well, the most recent development in the agentic AI world, in other words, the world of agents, is agent-to-agent protocols and platforms. And Google is pushing that very hard at the moment, their A2A protocol, which they want to open source, by the way. It's not going to be something that they'll own. They want everyone to use it because that means traffic for Google, of course.
So, Arthur, I just want you to know that my AI agent probably has Variable with all of your AI agents, and he's not going to talk to any of you. So don't even try. And
my AI agent outranks your AI agent because it's older.
Much older, Arthur, much older. With that, I want to thank everyone who's joined us tonight, but especially to this remarkable panel of people. We hope we've given people a sense of a taste of what AI can actually do, but most importantly, we really hope that we've given you the courage to go experiment, to make some mistakes, but to play and see how you can integrate AI into your life in order to improve your life for yourself, your family, and everyone around you. So thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you again in the not too distant future. To our remarkable guests, thank you so much for sharing your time. If you do have an opportunity just to say thank you to Professor Benji Rosman, who I think is on holiday somewhere at the moment. Benji, where are you?
I'm up near the Kruger.
Cool. Please just do a thank you into the chat section on Zoom, on Facebook, on YouTube. Raphi, Segal, you're one of the few people in Joburg at this point in time, I'm guessing?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
You stayed behind just to give us some great advice. And Mark, we're pretending that those northern lights, the aurora borealis behind you, is in fact real, and that you're somewhere in the northern hemisphere busy watching.
It's the closest thing I'm going to get to a holiday in a while. So I'm just role-playing a bit, yeah.
Dale, you're in Barrydale. I hope you've grown some herbs and some spices and some teas on the farm in Barrydale.
Yep, absolutely.
And Arthur, to those of you in Victory Park, it's always the other end of the universe to all of us. Just a thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Bye.